we were going to start with a land acknowledgement, and we have a wonderful person here. I don't know why Roger's face is up there covering everything. We'll see how he is.
Sorry, I can't see. I see the PowerPoint, so I'm sorry you gotta look at my face if that's the case.
Okay. All right. Can everybody that's online see hopefully that screen with Roger and the agenda? Yes?
You can see the PowerPoint.
That's important. Okay, Randy, did you want to come over here and give a land acknowledgement? And thank you for doing this, Randy. I really appreciate it very much.
Hello, everyone out there. How are you doing this evening?
Since no one's here, you usually take pictures, and we never take any pictures. This is my chance to get a picture of you, Randy.
Let's suck it in. Okay. California Indian Nation College acknowledges the Kuya as the original stewards of the land on which California Indian Nation College facilitates now sits. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work with the indigenous people in this place. We pay our respects to the Kuya people, past, present, and emerging, who have been here since time immemorial. Let us take time to reflect on the land and our ancestors. Please enjoy our time together with good, clean hearts and celebrate this place and others in it as a community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You did that so much better than I would have. So I really appreciate it. You did. That was very good. And I really appreciate it. And I think it's important. So what we are going to do today is start off with staff introductions. Then we will have a student panel. So we have 2 students here. Lauren is coming, yes? So we have some students and an alumni, Marty. So first, I think Sean, I'm trying to get my mouse to go here. So Sean, are you there?
I am here.
Oh, well, I'm sorry you're not feeling well, but we really appreciate the fact that even though you're not feeling well, you showed up.
Yeah.
So we, yeah. So words from our fearless leader, some days more fearless than others, yeah?
So yeah, forgive me, I'm just gonna introduce myself and such, and then I'll probably be bowing out. I've been out sick today. But if you have any questions or need anything, I know my email is here, it's on the website. Absolutely feel free to reach out. We can help navigate any of the challenges or any issues that you come up with, or if you need any sort of guidance on an issue, absolutely always reach out to staff or myself. But anyways, my name is Sean Reagan. I'm the vice president here at CINC. I've been here since, in some capacity, employed by the college in some capacity since 2019, the summer of 2019. And it's been a lot of changes over the last few years. Those of you who've been with us for a long time know that, and those of you who are just joining us, this is a really exciting time to be part of the college. We're offering far more classes. Our student population is growing. It's a really, really exciting time for us. As we look at CINC, I guess what I do want to maybe just kind of zero in on here for a moment is just how important this college is. California has the largest overall population of Native Americans in the country, and there's not been a tribal college here since the early 2000s when DQ closed. There's been some attempts to start up, but California Indian Nations College is the one that has gone the furthest. We're in the process of working with our ACCJC, our accrediting agency. We're in a partnership with College of the Desert to provide these classes to our students under their accreditation. But we still have a few years to go. We're still working towards the accreditation. But the importance of having CINC here in California just cannot be understated. If you look at basically any metric in the state system. Whether you look at public schools, you look at college going rates, you look at high school graduation rates, you look at, success rates in community college system, in the University of California or the California state system. Pick a metric, and Native Americans are oftentimes at the bottom. We have, we haven't done what we need to do to help prepare our students, and CINC is an important step in that pathway. We're working diligently, and this is where faculty come in, and it's so important in the classroom to prepare students from wherever they're at, wherever they're coming in at. And we have as if you've taught with us before, this. If you're new, you'll learn this quickly. There's a wide range of preparedness among our students. Some students are there, they're ready to go. Other students are not, and there's going to be the challenges, and how do we bring them up to that level where they need to be so that they can be successful in the classroom, and that they can then go and be successful in whatever comes next. Our staff has heard this from me before, and I'll just reiterate it here. One of the metrics we use for defining success is not if our students, complete their classes or if they get their associate's degree. It's, are we empowering them and strengthening them and educating them to be successful in whatever comes next? So when we see students go on to a Cal State system, to a UC system, when they get that bachelor's degree, that's what we're looking at as far as success. And so I think it's important to have that kind of long-term thinking in the way we approach stuff within the classroom. But there's going to be a lot of challenges along that route. People are going to talk about the support systems tonight that we have. But this endeavor here is truly making a difference, a profound difference for the communities that we serve, for the tribes, not just in Southern California, but throughout California. And as you'll see, or hear later, I believe, tribes outside of California. And so I hope that all of you see this as more than just, a teaching assignment, but as being part of something really important and something very powerful that's going to make a difference for generations and generations to come. So if you have anything, or we can support you in that, please reach out to me and let me know. And with that, I'll just see if there's any questions before I bow out and go back to bed.
Does anybody have any questions? Anything you want to put in the chat, or anything you want to say?
Feel better, Sean.
Thank you. So yeah, as things come up, reach out, please do. Open door.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Sorry you don't feel
Thank
well.
you.
So Sean mentioned a little bit that the California Indian Nation College offers a culturally responsive academic curriculum. I know when we had our staff meeting, Celeste. I was just looking at Carol's picture. Said everybody should know this mission, that we offer a culturally responsive academic curriculum rooted in Native American values and provide personalized support to advance the success of Native and non-Native students. And we're going to be talking today about how we can help you all do that a little bit. Just so you know, a little bit of statistics that so far we have served students from over 64 Native nations. If you see the really cool banner that's up around here, we have some of the seals. I'm sure that Ryan will be tracking down people to get more tribal seals to add to that. Our students range from 16 to 70, so that's pretty amazing. And we have a really diverse body, from students who were high school students. I know Roger, a little earlier, if we started recording, was talking about concurrent students, part-time, full-time. Claudia being one of our full-time students sitting over there, right? And she's going to be speaking soon. So yes, we'll be talking a lot about our students today. And the first person who's going to talk about is Roger Griffin, our registrar, director of enrollment, person probably all of you talked to at one time or another, right? So Roger, you there?
Thank you, Anne Maria.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first I'll put this in. There's my cell, my email for anyone that needs it. I think most of you have. I think I know most everybody here. There is also, I'm going to put the College of the Desert catalog in as well. So a reason I put that second one in just before I go over these other items is because we do take recommendations. So one of the things that we like to do is if you have a course in your field that you think would work really well at CINC, feel free to send it my way and I'll take a look at it and see if we can fit it into the structure and the program. So we do take recommendations, right? And we are constantly expanding the classes that we offer, especially over the last year. So I think that's really good. I just want to thank Anne Maria, Randy, and the others for putting this on. So I think it's nice to be able to gather here, and even though most of us in our virtual space. And sorry, Anne Maria, I know I was supposed to be there in person. It didn't work out today, so thanks for working with me on that. Pretty much, I kind of serve as like a one-stop shop, I guess, for many items. So if there's anything that you need and you're not sure where to go, feel free to reach out to me. My cell phone is always on the weekends as well. Email responses is fine too. So whatever you need. If I don't have the answer, I will work with Faith and Maria and others to make sure that we get you supported. If there's anything lacking in our support, or you feel like we're just not supporting you adequately enough as an adjunct, please do let us know. We want to hear that as well, right? We want you to have a good experience working with the students here. There's a couple of things that I was asked to talk about tonight, so I'll touch on those. And then if you need anything after that, feel free to email, call, or text me because I do have to jump off a bit early. But we do have a student early alert system. What we ask of you as adjunct faculty is if you notice that a student is starting to struggle, please let us know early, because we have a lot of resources that we can provide the students, right? And so whether that's bringing them into campus and setting additional tutoring for them. We've all had situations where we know that a student may have needed additional tutoring, and we can send it out, but we try to go the extra step to bring them in to, kind of stay on the student to actually take advantage of those resources. Sometimes it may be a situation where a student needs just a kind of a little bit of encouragement, right? We have a lot of really good students who do amazing things, who are really involved in their communities, and who I can tell you, as someone who's taught some classes, I learned probably more from the students than I actually teach them. And so that I always feel like that's an incredible experience. And I know a lot of people say that, but that is actually true here, because we have leaders, within their tribe. We have people who sit on council. We have people who have a lot of knowledge, right? And so all that's shared through in the classroom. So it's just a nice experience. But the student early alert system, you'll get a form. It's a link, right? So you'll get an email from me. And all we ask that you do is, if you have a student that you think could use some additional support, if you fill that out, it's one form for each student. If you have a student that you think maybe doesn't qualify for the student early alert system, you'll see the description in the form. It tells you what it's for. You can always text, email, or call me, and I'm happy to reach out to the student and make sure that they get the resources they need. The other thing is, since we partner with College of the Desert, so you all have noticed that your COD and your for those of you not familiar, College of the Desert and California Nations College faculty, right? So that means we have the added fun of having two systems to work through, right? So that's always enjoyable. So your student rosters will be in the COD system, which is Web Advisor and Populi. Faculty at CINC don't add or drop students. That's all done through me. And you also may get some census emails from College of the Desert. You just forward those to me, because our students don't count towards their census, and I'll take care of it. It's a manual process on our end. So if you do get that email, we've been getting better about cleaning that up so that you don't get that email. Just forward it to me and I'll take care of it. Okay. And then before I add or drop people, I touch base with each of you and I'll say, hey, the student's likely going to drop, and I'll let you know. And then after our drop add date, which is the same as College of the Desert, we don't move around with your roster. Okay. I do ask that you check your Web Advisor and Populi rosters at the start of the semester, about week 4 or 5. That's even after census, right? Because there can be some changes. And then right before you do your final exams as well, because sometimes, because we're working across 2 institutions, things can get switched up on the rosters. And if I know earlier, it's easier for me to fix. If I find out like after finals are done, it's a little bit more of a cumbersome process, especially if it happens around a holiday. So that's one of the requests that I have. If you have any issues or concerns, just let me know. I'm happy to help with adjustments. I think that's it on that slide, Emery. I think there was one other thing you wanted me to cover. Oh, as you're doing assignments, I know that I've done this as faculty, so this is just more of a request, right? All of you have complete academic freedom in how you do your class. This is more of a request. So one of the things that helps us is, so now we have an additional advisor on, Ronson. So Ronson and I will be looking at the grades students have, right? And if a student is late with assignment, it helps us if you put a 0, even if that's not going to be their final grade, right? Even if they can go back and do it later, because then I can actually see where the student is at, right? And then we can engage them early on. If those are left blank, then what happens is if I just glance at the class without going into it, it might look like everybody has an A and really someone's needing additional support. So that's one of the things that I think would help us out a lot if you're willing to do that. It just helps advising be able to go in and see who's actually turning in assignments and who needs a little bit more encouragement or additional supports. The other thing is we try to be consistent with our Zoom link, right? So there's 2 places you can put it. The primary place would be on the bulletin board. And then if you email me a copy of your Zoom link, I can keep it on a spreadsheet. And then that way, if a student's missing it, students will come to my office quite frequently for items. If I have a copy of your Zoom link, I can always send it out to students, right? And then I just make sure they get it. Because sometimes they text me, sometimes it's right before class, sometimes it's, classes started, student had to work late or something and they need it. I can just help ensure that students get to your class. So if you do, once you set up your Zoom link, if you send it to me, I keep it on a spreadsheet and then I can also send it to the students as well. And then the other thing that this is more of a recommendation. Again, you have academic freedom, so you establish your class and set it up how you want. I found at CINC that it's worked better for me. I have to make less adjustments to my syllabus if I push, the bigger assignments back a little, at least 2 weeks, right? So normally within the first 2 weeks, my recommendation would be maybe a discussion board and maybe a syllabus quiz and a couple small assignments to kind of get the students going. If you have like a big assignment right up front or a writing assignment or something of that nature that's due within that first week, you will have some adjustments. We have most of the books, but sometimes students are still getting the books. We purchase all their books and things for them. You could have a little bit of challenges with students turning in some of the work within the first 2 weeks. So if you kind of ease them into it, I think I found that's worked really well for me. And I've been talking to others. I think that's tend to work well for them as well. So just some thoughts on kind of structures of classes and some of the timing things with our students. And then I guess
off-topic question. One of our new faculty got dropped off at the high school because she didn't know where we were. Is the high school, Palm Springs High School, close to here? Is it far?
it's not too far. It's not too far, I think. Yeah.
Come towards me. Okay. Go west, young woman.
Yeah. So that it's not too far from there. Yeah. The 99-cent store is if they go towards the 99-cent store off of Barista and Sunrise, they'll find it. Sorry. Okay. Well, so I guess that's all I had. Does anybody have any questions before I pop off? I think most people have my cell. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody. Thank you for your time. I know everybody's very busy, so just appreciate it. And nice to see you all. Hi, Helen. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Phil. It's nice to see you all. So I'm sure I'll chat with you all soon. Hi, Carol, Melissa. I don't know if I've missed anybody. So, okay. Sorry to ramble on.
I have a question, Roger, before you go. Are there any handbook or maybe Anna Maria will tell us too. Is there any handbook with all the rules and regulations, like how many breaks do we have to have, or do we have to have any breaks? About the attendance, do we take attendance on the populi, or we are taking the attendance according to the assignments because I usually make them do work and I know that they're there. So I write down by myself the names.
Yeah,
This.
so I'm sure Anne Maria will go into depth on those parts, but I can answer several of the ones that you mentioned. Anne Maria, is it okay if I answer?
Go right ahead.
So for attendance, you will always, we ask that you take attendance in Populi. That is a mandatory requirement with CINC. Mainly because we need to know on the advising side if students are showing up or not, right? Because sometimes it's just they need a schedule change, and some students may just didn't want to, they felt embarrassed or something, they didn't want to tell us, right?
Yeah.
And so then I can reach out, make that adjustment and move students around. So there's a place in Populi to take attendance. If as you're doing that, if you can't find it or it doesn't show up, then
I saw it.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so attendance will be mandatory. And then the other question was about breaks with class. So
Yeah.
most of your classes are 3 hours. I think everybody does it a little bit different. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I have a lesson and I tell a student, hey, I got 3 hours of stuff. We're gonna have to go. If you need to step away or
Okay.
something, just go ahead and do that. I usually try to take a break with like halfway through. And every person is different. So
I do the same thing. Yeah, for them. 10 minutes.
Yeah, here's one thing I would say is that a lot of the students are coming from, depending on the time of your class. So it's in the evening, a lot of them are coming from work. And so I will typically give like a 20-minute break in the middle so that they can grab some dinner. And so that works out well because when I teach in the evenings, a lot of students haven't eaten dinner yet. And so I that's worked out well. I know Anne Maria has some great recommendations because she's taught at different times here at CINC. But that's usually what I do. Or sometimes you can even, some professors have even done like, they do like 5 or 10 minute break at the hour, and then they do another 5 or 10 minute break at the next hour before it finishes. And so it's up to you.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's good. Oh, and are they don't require all of them to have their video camera on or through Populi, or they don't have to?
It's up to you, the professor. I don't, because sometimes I've had students that are they have a baby that's nursing or something, right?
Yeah.
And so
I don't
I've
require.
yeah,
I
it's
don't.
up to you.
Okay, good, good.
It's up to you. Most of the students, they'll chat you if you want, like if someone wants their cameras on and a student has a situation that it's basically not going to work for them, they'll chat you. They'll let you know, or they'll text you.
Okay.
Or if they don't have your contact, they'll text me, and then you'll get a text from me that just says, hey, this is why, or email. I try not to bother you during class, but I just try to give you information. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Roger.
Roger, sometimes we don't answer, sometimes they have their cameras on because they're on the reservation and they don't have good internet. So if they turn on their camera, then can't hear anything. It's like a robot.
yeah, who's that, Leanne?
No, that's Veronica.
Oh yeah, that's hey Veronica. Yeah, so that's another good point is if someone's on the res or they're nearby, then it also is not going to work. So we have that challenge too. Some students do join by the phone, but you can also sync the campus Monday through Thursday when most of the classes go. It's open until, Emery, is it 10 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay, so usually open till 10 p.m. There's security on campus. And then we provide these MiFis that they can use to, but it still doesn't usually work if it's some of the reservations doesn't work well. So that's one of the challenges. So thank you for mentioning that, Veronica.
Okay. But the sound, they can participate, right? If we have.
Yeah, it's just the video takes a lot of the broad band, and so it makes it real slow.
No problem for the video. I just wanted to know if it's required, but the sound, it works, right? They can participate in discussions.
Yeah, in most cases, yeah. If not, they'll be chatting. So every class I've had, I haven't really had an issue, but I haven't taught in the last couple of semesters.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, I had some people that joined on their phone and couldn't always have the video on, but I could still hear them fine.
Okay.
All right, and just so you know, we have all these dates here. We will have, and I'll talk about this in a little minute, we have a faculty team, and in there you should be able to find all kinds of files with all kinds of documents, including this PowerPoint, so you don't have to memorize all the dates. Just so you know, we put them there for this spring semester. And just so you know what else is going to happen tonight, if you're just excited to know, we have 2 more people from the staff to talk and introduce themselves, Linda and Veronica, the faculty senate, and then we are going to have a student panel. Tell you all the things, since you all get to talk to them, it's their chance to talk back to you. So Linda, take it away, Linda. See if I can. Summer. Oh, we did have, I guess, another slide from Roger about class cancellation. So if you're going to.
I'm still here if you need me.
To say, if possible, you'd like 24 hours notice. I mean, if somebody wakes up and they're deathly ill, they can't, but if possible, to let you know if there's going to be a class canceled, and hopefully 24 hours in advance.
Yeah, if you have to cancel a class, if you just text me or something. Mainly, I just need to know, we need to let the camp, if it's on campus, we let them know, and then other students might need to make additional adjustments. So I can send out in the system notification to all students. So if you need me to do that.
And as far as, I think it was Elaine's question, there is in that same Teams channel, there will be a faculty handbook and all sorts of other things about all these policies. So Linda, do you want to leap up here? Linda's our new student success coordinator, and she's going to tell you all the things that she does, is going to do, hopes to do.
Yeah. Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Cotton. I am the new student success coordinator. I have been here, well, I'm going on my 3rd week now. So that's
You know everything now.
we are working on building a student affairs program. CINC has not had one in the past. Or Roger's been wearing a lot of hats, and all the staff at CINC has been wearing a lot of hats. So it's myself, Faith. I'm gonna say hi, Faith. I think you're here.
She's going to be here at 6. She was teaching a class.
Yes, hi.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that. Welcome, everybody.
So Faith is also with me. And then Marty Pablo is our elder in residence. Marty, are you still on?
I'm right here. Greetings, everyone.
So we make up your student success team. We are building, like I said, but some of the things that we do have, we will have tutoring. So if you have students who you think need extra tutoring help, we're working on, we will help them, but we are also working on building a peer tutoring program. Our idea is to build a community so that our students also help each other, as well as being there for them. We will be working on internships and student employment through CINC. We will also be working on outside resources. So if someone needs help applying for a job or needs help building a resume for either within CINC or without, we will help with that. We'll also help with applications, scholarships, jobs, college, whatever a student needs.
If you move a little to the left, people can see you.
I move a little to the left. Hi. Trying to see the board and do this at the same time. The student textbooks are provided by CINC and the Chromebooks, but I think Roger and Ronson are going to be handling those through academics. But we will also be helping with community resources. So if you think anybody needs help with guidance, or or if they need access to TANF for housing, mental health, job sites, legal, we will search for those resources as well for anything a student might need. Our goal is to support the students to help keep them engaged and involved. We're all familiar with, post-COVID, before COVID, there are outside entities that sometimes prevent us from going to school, outside stressors, things like that. So our job is to help support the students in any way that we can to help them continue their education. And I think that's it for me. Faith, Marty, do you guys have anything you want to add?
No, I just wanted to say really quickly, because I also have to jump off really quick. I have a class at 6. But I'm here, I'm teaching also are helping to instruct the CAWIA discussion course that we have in conjunction with Palomar and Dr. Elliott. And so we're just really happy to have all of the faculty here and be able to get to know one another. And we really want to engage with our students. This is something that we now have a full department, well, 3 of us so far, to help with students and their needs and addressing also barriers and things. So we have our student orientation coming up on January 26th, where we'll be speaking to the student population and talking to them and getting an assessment, gathering data, making sure that, you know, they have all of the tips and tricks ready, of especially in communicating with the faculty, with the staff, and with each other. We also have a student government that's in place for CINC that we're going to start to work really closely with as well. So I just want to welcome you all. And then if you have any suggestions, ideas, or want to speak to us about maybe some things you may see in the classroom that students are, you know, vocalizing, or, you know, concerns that they may share with you, please let us know. Reach out to us. We're all here to help each other, especially be here for the students and their success. This is their educational journey. Many of them, because I've been here for a while, know them personally. I come from recruitment and admissions, so I got to see them as when they first applied and how hesitant sometimes they were. And some of them are going to be, this is going to be their first, you know, college course. Some of them have been in and out, back and forth. There's some of them have come, you know, back from a lot of years. And then we also have a few of our concurrent students that will also be in classes as well. So we have quite a variety, like Anna Maria had on, you know, the previous slide. So I just want to make sure that we are addressing needs and concerns early on, and helping us to develop and program things to address those for our students. So thank you.
Marty, do you want to say anything?
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, Marty Pablo here. I am CINC alumni. Been with CINC from when they first opened the doors here. I believe our first class was October of 2018, and at that time they were affiliated with UCR Extension, and then things changed the next semester, and we've been going since then. I recently graduated from CINC in 2022 with an AA degree in general studies and was it liberal arts and on emphasis in communications. And then I had a lot of help from everyone that I asked for help from, you know, from the staff, and then they helped me transfer out to UCR, and that's where I am currently enrolled and taking classes. I'm in my second quarter, but what I really want to do is give back to CINC the way they gave me, and continue being close to the students and helping them in, you know, whatever way I can, and try to help Linda and Faith whatever I can. And this is all new to me. I haven't worked since, oh my gosh, I believe I was maybe 25 the last time I had a job. I'm 65, so 40 years out of the work of but I love it. It's a really great opportunity, and I remember Celeste telling me to come back, and you know, and I didn't know it was going to be this soon, but I'm really thankful. So I just do my best to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Don't go away, Marty, because I'm going to ask you to speak at our panel with the students in a minute.
All righty.
Their faces, so I know who Marty is. Hi, Marty.
Do you have
Hi.
questions in the chat?
I didn't see who.
Can we move over?
And I think we had 3 more comments in the chat.
Oh, no, they were just things that Roger had posted the catalog, and then some people were saying, nice to meet you all. Talking to you since it's nice to meet everybody. All right, so Veronica, speaking of people's faces. We'll move this over. So you were gonna come up here and talk about faculty senate, and then our students and alumni are gonna turn the tables and tell us what they think.
Let's see, can I?
I keep looking out because we have one faculty member that's lost. So that's why I'm not being.
I just, excuse my tardiness, and I know that people have been sending me emails. The combination of having surgery and my first time driving in 6 weeks, and rain, and so I've been catching up. I'm teaching a bunch of winter classes, so I know that Roger, you called me. I saw some emails. I just haven't had time to respond back, and even with Sean, I guess we're talking here. So the academic senate, to be quite honest, I haven't done as much yet because Daniel was taking over it. But then he got hired with CINC, so we needed an actual faculty member to take over it. Now with CINC, we've been growing. We've been growing a lot. But when we initially started, so I've been here since Marty in the beginning, and there was literally like only 4 of us faculty members. And this is before we started thinking about, we were just getting started with the program. And so now we're trying to get fully established. And so we're going to be looking for someone to hopefully maybe take over as the president of the academic senate. And what we're really trying to do is get established policies. Well, actually, Daniel's here, so he can attest to it. I just with everything going, and besides surgery, I have a little baby / 4 other kids on top of that. And, you know, anyways, a little bit about myself. I actually work at COD. I'm a full-time faculty member there. I started off as a counselor. So when I started off with CINC, I was teaching the counseling courses and assisting our students with counseling, with the academic counseling. And then I transitioned full-time to sociology. So I technically still working counseling, kind of. I help out at COD in both aspects. So I keep current with my counseling, and I teach full-time sociology there, and still do this as overload. And so with that, I'm very passionate about our CINC students. But with the academic senate, what we're trying to do is really trying to get our policies established. We have a lot to work with. We have a lot of policies that we can borrow. We don't steal, we borrow. And yeah, and inspired by, and it's really just trying to get everything ready for, you know, the goal is to have CINC as a full-time college, a full-time, whether we're a community college or a full 4-year college. As we progress, the goal is to be accredited and be offered that, so we don't have to borrow from College of the Desert. That's the goal. So with the academic senate, we need to be involved to create the policies and be able to really just trying to figure out our voting, how we progress. The way the academic senate currently works at an established college, like for example, as College of the Desert, we have a 10-to-1 policy. So we have people representing each different department. And in order for things to get passed, we have to have majority vote, right? We have to have representation of all departments. Right now, we are very limited because we are still growing. And so we've been continuing to develop policies that are not normal in the sense that in our voting, like we've included classified in our voting. And the only reason being is that a lot of our classified employees also teach. So we want to make sure that they also have a vote in the matter and a say. We don't just want to only be faculty if they're not involved in other matters. So it's been kind of tricky in that aspect. The main reason why we would be looking for others to participate, because the faculty senate, what we want them to do is participate in the board meetings and all that. It just happens that every semester that the board meets happens to be on the day that I teach for CINC. And when we move it, it seems like it moves too. So, you know, it's just really the academic senate will report back to our board committee to be able to be that voice of what has been established or voted upon, and to be a voice and representative at the board meeting.
I should throw in that you actually do get paid for these extra hours. And if you're here on Zoom, I will be sending you a W-9. You get paid. If you're not a full-time faculty, if you're not a full-time CINC staff member, you will get paid. And that's true of the faculty senate as well, because you're paid through College of the Desert for teaching.
I don't see anything on here, so I
Oh,
can't.
no,
Oh,
I was just gonna click to let Eric.
I was like, I don't see your, oh, okay, let's see.
Anyway, you're paid through College of the Desert for teaching, but you're doing things for CINC.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
Oh,
Faculty senate, we would
I don't see the mouse.
figure.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I don't see it on here. That's why.
No,
It's not a.
this is not the best thing.
A mirror screen. Okay, okay, okay. I get it now. Yes. No, no, it's okay. I was like, I don't see them here. I don't see anybody. Yeah, okay.
I know, it's not the best setup, but.
It's all good. So besides that, we're really just trying to make progress. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. And so the goal is that we can make that, we're like on a marathon and we're trying to make it past the finish line. And so we appreciate all of you faculty members and classified staff and students who have invested and participated in CINC. And so the goal is that we continue to grow. And it really is a safe space. This semester is probably the first time I noticed that our student population is coming in from the East Coast as well. And I haven't noticed that before. And I was like, oh, it is 9 o'clock that you are starting here and we're here till midnight for you. And so the virtual world, as much as it stinks and it wasn't ideal because I hate Zoom classes. Some of you have started when I was in person at the UCR campus in Palm Desert. It at least has allowed us to open up our doors to everyone across US and I mean, further on, so.
Well, like one of the cool things is you can get faculty or guest speakers that you normally couldn't get. I know Yan was in a class, we had Stefan Ledoux, who is one of the like most well-known First Nation artists in Canada, and he dropped in on Zoom. There's no way we could have got Stefan to come in here in person. So those are some kind of cool opportunities you can take advantage of.
Yes.
And we have a speakers bureau, just so you know, coming up.
Yeah, so any questions? I can't see if anyone has added any from this angle, but it was at 5 before I got here. No? No? So, so far we've met either on Zoom or in person for sandwiches that Sean pays for. And so we try to meet, it's typically on Fridays when we can, because that's usually not till the afternoon, because that's usually when none of us are conflicting with schedules. And yeah, we just want to hear people's opinions. We've thought about, and we definitely want student input on everything we do. So sometimes we might draft a policy or an idea and we might bring it back to our classrooms for student input before we proceed, because as I talk to others, and this is just my whole philosophy. So at CINC, and I mentioned this at my other college I work at, we accept students. So we accept you regardless of college readiness. So because of that, we have to change our perspective and our thinking. And so it's important to get student input so that way we can determine what is best for, I know we have students here, so that's why I'm talking to them. That way we can determine what's best for our students, because I haven't been a college student for quite some time. And so, you know, it's different circumstances. So, you know, we always encourage and welcome our student input so we can make sure that we are adjusting our curriculum, our policies, and anything else so it works best for our CINC students. Any questions? No? Y'all good? Hi, Marty. All right.
The chat is-
Dr. Dot.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Dr. Dot.
Marty. There you go.
Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for, can you three come up a little closer? I'll just turn this around. Hopefully then people can see you, hear you. Like I said, this is not the best system for. Oh, see, I actually have it on my iPad too. So one, come a little closer. All right, so we had asked these guys Oh, I guess I should probably. do that. We asked these wonderful people to come here. I'm gonna try and move over so you can see who they are. Okay? And talk about being students, what they would like faculty members to know, for better or worse. So if they're crashing people, maybe it wasn't people at CINC. But we're all adults, we can take it. Yeah, we just trash there. I can move this over here. So this is Claudia in the middle, Lorna on the right, and I guess it's your left if you're looking at it. That's Lorna right there. That's Claudia. Lorna's our student body president, and Leanne is, you're also a full-time student, aren't you, Leanne? Leanne is an almost graduating student. Yes, you are. So, yeah. So anyway, and they, along with Marty, were asked to talk about anything they would like faculty to know. We are recording this for all faculty. But yeah, so take it away, experts.
Okay.
Then I'll speak at once.
Oh, so question number one was, what are some things faculty did, whether assignments in class or actions outside of class, that you found helpful? That was question number one.
For me, Mr. Parker last semester was very engaging the whole time. His schedule, what his expectations were very clear. And even in a simple article, if I didn't have any comments, he would still comment on it and still engage in what I was doing, which made me feel like my work counted. So that was something that I appreciated.
I'd like to comment on that also. When I was a student at CINC, both Professor Land and Professor Parker were very, very helpful, and I loved the way they did their classes. And also, Professor Parker listened to us when we had concerns about what we were learning and from what standpoint we were learning from what perspective. And you know, he acknowledged us. You know, he didn't just brush it off. You know, he listened to us and understood where we were coming from. So that's one thing I really like about CINC is the atmosphere, camaraderie, and the fact that we're not, we can voice our concerns.
Okay. So for myself, just a little background about myself. I started CINC back in 2020. This was the semester where the pandemic hit, so I was still able to attend in-person classes. I started off with taking a government class and a business class to kind of determine what field I wanted to go into. And I had been away from school for over 10 years. So it was difficult for myself to get back into the classroom setting. Professor Griffin was very helpful with his teaching. The business class that I took, I found it very difficult, especially since his exams were by stories that he mentioned during his lecture. So there was times where when I first started, I didn't catch on to those stories that he was saying. So I found that I kept failing some of the assignments. So there's definitely, but I felt that maybe because I was away for so long from school, I kept, struggling with that class. But the way that Mr. Griffin would teach, if I didn't understand something, he would go back and break it down. Regardless if he had already touched on that subject and had already moved forward with something else, he would always make sure before moving forward that we understood And I felt like that's what got me through the class, that he always went back just to make sure that we understood. And if we didn't all nod our heads, he would ask us again, are you sure, before we move on? Or he would hint us, this is going to be on the exam. So there I would, note it on my paper, could possibly on the exam. And that found it, just very helpful with that. Question number 2 is,
Oh, yeah. Some things that faculty did that I found helpful is like in Native communities, we have like a lot of ceremonies come up, and we have certain things that we have to sometimes go back home for. And sometimes it takes us away from something, big or important that we have to be in class for. And I've noticed that a lot of the professors I have had have been very understanding with that. And they've given me the time to make up my work when I did have to leave, like say for a funeral. We do traditional funerals, and so we do bird dancing from sundown to sun up, and I'm tired the next day. And sometimes we'll have like a test or something we're supposed to do, and they've given me a little bit of extra leeway knowing that I had certain things that I had to do. So I appreciate that, because at regular colleges, the professors don't really, any other community college I've been to, the professors don't really budge when it comes to assignments and stuff like that need to be done by a certain time. But I've had a lot of help here, and I feel like my success has to do with them being understanding in those situations, the faculty here. So that's really helped me out. And
question number 2 is, have you had needs or challenges that you think faculty did not consider? This could be at CINC or elsewhere.
Marty, you can dive into it too,
Okay, well, that question, I would say, like, from when I first started, we were in a UCR course, and so it was difficult, but CINC was just starting out, so the instructor did his best to help us through that, but then the second semester rolls around, and there's much more activity as far as faculty and students and courses. And one of those courses that I took was with Dr. Dot, and it was like a life skills course, and it taught us like how to be a progressive student, it taught us time management and several different life skills, and on up to like where you did a resume, and you created a resume and did an actual job interview. And one thing I really liked about going to CINC is that every time we had some kind of success, we fed the people.
We have food here if you come, Marty.
Huh?
I said, we have food here if you had come.
Oh gosh, I got out of school like an hour before this, so I had to stay home.
Can I ask a question? So during that, so when I first started, I had an orientation from CINC, and it was really to make our curriculum more representative of Native Americans and the background. And I had students during that time, when I was doing the counseling courses, confide in me that they were overwhelmed by another course based on the amounts of relatability that they had in their content and their curriculum. And so it was an English course, for example, and the course only surrounded Native American stories. And so some of the students were feeling like it was a little too much about like maybe reliving some stuff that they, you all are very knowledgeable about history. So I guess my question is, what would be the balance that would be good for faculty to make it relatable, but not too much, if that makes sense?
I think that's a question. A very good question, and a very difficult question. And I appreciate that perspective.
Did everyone hear that on the Zoom? Sorry. Okay, just making sure.
Yes.
the biggest thing for me, what comes to my mind is just trying to get the perspective, like how it applies now, and where, and not necessarily in past and stuff, and just try to bring it back out, like, you know, because you kind of delve into deep stuff and try to bring it out and like show like good that may have come from it or something like that. But it's something we all have to face, so I don't know, it's a hard one. Yeah, it's all good, I mean, because it's,
So mean, so
It
like
was
they
based on
felt
the
like there was
threats.
too much culture.
Kind of, yeah, that was the complaint I was getting
can do
from
it.
students, that they felt like we've lived through this, we understand our history, we don't need to, I guess, re-traumatized every lecture.
Yeah, that's another thing that I did want to touch on too. Is like when we talk about certain things, like in our history, it was traumatic.
yeah.
So we gotta like, I don't know, it's really hard to find that balance. Cause I know like some of us, like last semester, we watched a couple of things and it had to do with boarding schools and we had to like talk about it. And it's like really depressing because I don't want to relive that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, or hear about it like that. So it's like, it's weird, but it's history and it happened. So, you know what I mean? It has to be talked about. So I just feel like, I don't know. I enjoy it being culturally based. I don't feel like there's too much culture really. I feel like that's part of the game when you come, you know what I mean? If you're coming to California Indian Nations College, it's going to be, you're going to have information on, you know, Native American things. And I guess if you don't want to be, if you don't want to have that type of information, then you can go to another school. That's my opinion, but I mean, like, honestly, that's what it's about here. It's about culture, and that's why I come here. You know what I mean? And so I feel like, you know, I like it. I like learning about culture and hearing things. And the only thing I could suggest is that we learn a little bit more about California history or California Native Americans, because we learn about natives all over the place, you know what I mean? But a lot of stuff happened here. So if we can touch on that a little bit more in some of the classes, I think that'd be interesting.
Something that I did wanted to add was that, for example, I took the psychology class with CINC, and I enjoyed how the professor, she would talk about certain topics that, you know, it was a little uncomfortable, but it was like she brought out like analyzing something, like she still brought it back to the subject, and we would practice a lot of like mindfulness like meditation. We had a session, like a class where at the end we ended with like with a talking circle. And so throughout that course, I felt like, yes, we talked about very triggering like subjects, but the way that she helped us how to like implement that in our lives, like the mindfulness, like meditation and all that, I feel like at the end it was like, whoa, like we could use this outside. Like when we talk about those topics, like how to like be able to take those deep breaths and like continue with the subject, because at some point it was kind of like, no, I need to step away. But as she implemented that, talking about those things, it was very, very, how would I say it? Like it almost helped us like how to, like, yeah, healing, like coping with that. Yeah, so I feel like, you know, just like how she touched on those subjects, but implemented that psychology with it and how we can cope with it was very helpful.
That's awesome.
I'd kind of like to ask a question pertaining to that. I'll be teaching the psychology of marriage and family. And, you know, there needs to be a lot of psychology theories are very, very colonial. And And so, you know, I really want to teach it in a way that is sensitive to Native culture. And so how, in your opinion, how could I present these ideas without, and still be, you know, sensitive to your thoughts and you guys'?
Well, I do recall her mentioning, you know, how she said, like, you know, she has her PhD and in psychology, and she practiced, I believe she said, even like clinical psychology. And so she always would try to touch on both the Western and then also bring in that cultural aspect to it. And she would always like let us know like what was the difference. Certain topics we felt like that doesn't quite relate to us, but she would like bring in that culture as well, and kind of everything just felt like it balanced out. Yes, we learned about like the Western medicine, it's just that she also touched on like culture, and so it kind of helped us like understanding more of like the topic. When we read the textbook, I felt like, man, I don't understand half of this. But when she brought it back into the lecture and then touch on like, you know, kind of like this is like the Western medicine type of it, but I'm going to talk to you about like more that cultural side of it. It kind of just all connected.
I think Marty had something to say there too.
Yeah, I would suggest being careful of what textbook you bring into your classroom. And that's really important. I know there must be some Native PhDs in psychology out there that, you know, would be a better feel for the classes, you know, because oftentimes when a book is not written by a Native, it's not going to be more, you know, geared towards us. So it would be nice to be taught something like that. So, you know, from a Native perspective by a Native author. Also, I found like, you know, I took a kinesiology class, and we all know that kinesiology wasn't written for with the Indian in mind, you know, the Native, because you know, our body chemistry and our body composition is not like, you know, other, and so I think she was, you know, the instructor was very mindful of that, and told us not to be you know, hard on ourselves if we don't fit that model, you know, of, you know, the BMI and all that kind of stuff that they teach in those courses. You know, she understood, man, we're fry bread eaters, all right. and so yeah, you know, but I would be very careful about, because if we get up be like talking about economics, that's what happened in our natural resources class. They started talking about like, you know, paternalism kind of came up in the textbook, and you know, I didn't expect the instructor to know about that, you know, but he was mindful. He didn't, you know, he let us talk it out. You know, it was like one of those subjects you kind of like get ruffled in, but Professor Parker, you know, listened to us. He didn't mind it. You know, I mentioned it to Roger. You know, he worked with us through it. You know, and we got through it. You know, and but yeah, be mindful of the textbooks you bring to your class.
So with the faculty online and here, that's why we need your involvement in the academic senate, so we can start bringing in the curriculum involved in there, because we need to update and add textbooks to the curriculum outline, so it can be something that is given credit to our students. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So yes, please do consider other textbooks, but you know, please feel free to bring it so we can include that in our curriculum updates, so we can get those through. And yeah, okay. All right, okay, looking for this American faculty with CINC with Alex, right? Published an article recently, and one of your viewers was really helpful and texted a bunch of things to look at these people, and he had written a lot.
I can barely hear.
It's
kind of muffled.
I haven't heard of him, but he had written a lot on particularly success of Native American students in schools and looking at things from a strengths perspective as opposed to a deficit perspective. And it was really super good. So I would check that out. When we see that as hard, when we look at the students not doing well enough, or they're not doing this, and we said, look at it from a systemic perspective. What is it maybe we could do for the students? I think people think how great our students are. So there's a lot of information. Full and great you all are. Cycling great, not here, but I'm sure they meant it.
Oh, no, for sure.
So I couldn't hear you. So the air conditioner turning on at nighttime.
So the, I just wanted to add to those heavy, lessons. I think just acknowledging the fact that it is heavy and a lot of the, those topics are not like, they're not things that we haven't experienced or know somebody who's experienced. And so it's not some perspective, third person perspective that you're learning about it and nobody has ever experienced these hardships. No, that's real life. And I think just having that acknowledgement, that those are heavy for people to deal with and take home and, process. I think that would be probably one of the most helpful things.
I just wanted to add a little more to the question about the challenges I've had like with faculty. I don't think necessarily here at CINC. So I do, take classes at COD as well. And I remember when the pandemic hit and we had to move, Zoom. And even after like the semesters continued and where I was living at the moment, I had really bad connection. I kept calling Spectrum, trying to figure out how to go about it. I had like multiple like MiFi sent to me. If one didn't work, maybe the other. And I just kept trying to figure it out, what was happening. And even after so many weeks that we switched, I kept having tech issues. And then I remember like just like a professor saying like, oh, it's already been so long, you should already, have figured this out. But the thing is that just wasn't in my control with the connection. And I just felt like, what else can I do? I can't figure out how to listen to his lectures. He's telling me I need to figure it out. It's already so many weeks. I'm falling behind. And I just kept trying to figure out, how can I do this? And I remember a couple of times I even had to, drive away from home to see if that was helpful. So I think that, especially, nowadays we will experience tech issues and we can't expect for, students to just, it's already been 3 weeks into the class day and you should figure it out. I just felt like that was very uncalled for. We all have tech issues. I remember, probably like if I took a class with you, I was probably on, at Starbucks or, somewhere, trying to, figure out just how to make that connection, be, better. So I definitely feel like each student, we all have, some type of challenge, during our courses there's just some things that we have no control of, whether it's health, whether it's tech issues. And I really do appreciate it, that faculty being, just very, taking into consideration our challenges. Unfortunately, that's not everywhere that we go. So I really do appreciate, when CINC, just really takes the time to, try to figure out how can they assist us with our challenges during the time that we're here.
One thing I want to add, when we took the conservation of natural resources class with Mr. Parker, I want to say he did cahoots, and it was the funnest thing in the world. And I miss it. I miss that class. I miss the whole experience. We were excited to go into class, and then we would get in our little teams afterwards and we would play cahoots. And I swear that helped me learn so much and retain so much knowledge because I was having fun. And we were literally like battling each other in class because we had teams trying to figure out, you know, they would put up a question and there'd be a couple answers. And, you know, whoever got it first, the computer would send it to the professor and we would know, you know, and it was just really fun. It was like a great way to, we weren't just learning, we were having fun. Like, I really liked that. I wish, you know, maybe more teachers could incorporate something like that because it gets us out of our funk too. Like, you know, we're all busy and stuff. So it's like, if we're going to class and, you know, we're having a good experience like that, it's really cool.
Okay, you guys, I saw a lot of good changes came to CINC after I left, like notebooks with logos on it, cahoots, come on now. But hey, that's really good.
There's no, because it's all on Zoom. Come on, there's no, there's not, you got there. Yeah, public survey class. Daniel still does that. Yeah, oh, nice.
Classes are over. Do we go on to the next question?
We kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any more ideas on it, on ideas for faculty members to include culture in curriculum?
You're on the roll, so if you want to talk some more, don't stop. I just would like to hear more about like California natives, more culture, that more California, you know, stuff that happened here. There's a lot of stuff that happened here. That we have a boarding school in Banning. Most people don't even know that there's an actual boarding school in Banning that, you know, my grandma went there. Like, and a lot of people don't even know. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, that's history, and I feel like it's appropriate, and it's, you know, it's around, you know, the area. I feel like we should make a move to learn more about. But I like natives all over the place. That's cool too. That there's lots of information from lots of cultures. But I feel like we could touch on some stuff a little bit more from California history.
Isn't CINC going to offer a course in California in Indian?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's yeah. I mean, that's an in-depth class that will touch on all the missions and, you know, and it's not going to be an easy one to go through because you'll have to relive some things, you know, but it's really informative.
It'll be interesting to see how staff does that, and I hope that they do reach out to I don't know if it's them or the school or how it would work, but to the tribes and to the students who are, you know, have the information, and just tying it back into, because I mean, I feel like everything that's taught can be tied into the culture in some way. There's relevance there. So we just have to find out what that is and make it so it's more relatable.
Daniel, not Daniel Hollister, Daniel Archletto, you're here, right? Aren't you teaching California history?
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Yes, I am. California history.
So it's a few people who really want to be in your class, and you have a large part of that on California Indian nations, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty much focused. It's California Indian history, as I would describe it. The class.
Now I want to take your class.
Can I ask, what's the current onboarding process for faculty?
This is it.
Maybe Daniel could, maybe as part of like the onboarding process, he can do like some kind of presentation. Not right now, Daniel, we're not gonna put you on the spot. But I only asked because when I first started, it was, I thought it said it was like a faculty and student orientation. So I was teaching with a colleague at the time, and we thought we were gonna meet the student. We were like, oh, cool, we're gonna meet the student. It was meeting some of the elders, and there was a presentation given, but it was really focusing on how we need to make sure we change our curriculum to be more focused on the culture, right? And then, but at the time, now I have some background in this, but my colleague has none, and I'm still very, at the time, was still very recent with culture of Native Americans. And so we had no idea what that was or how to go about it. What do you mean? And there's a difference between learning online and reading on Google or researching somebody versus actually someone teaching you, like, you know, what's appropriate, what's not. And so I'm the person that speaks out loud all the time. So I'm only mentioning this because I wasn't sure if it changed since. And so maybe that can be part of the onboarding process for faculty. So that way there's a little bit more comfort level and we're more self-aware versus being afraid or reading something completely wrong that we found on our Google search. So that's just my recommendation to the administration at CINC. And if you have any problems with administration, feel free to reach out to me because I have no problem speaking up. No, right. I just want to make sure that no problem speaking. Yeah, it's just, you know, we're talking about this, but a lot of us have no clue what that entails, what that looks like. So it might be part of the onboarding process to pay for you guys to get involved and to just really to learn about it, because it's one thing to read about it. I was given some books, I read the books, but books were a little traumatizing. So that understanding of what to include. It just gave me some stories, but I still was unsure about like how to go about it.
Well, the first time I attended tribal college was in 1990. Probably most of you were born. And I went to the dean, because you walk into college, Chuck Eskin, time it was called Little League. You walk into college with a big sign, there's this weird code of college, code of culture and values, and all right, every course we teach. And I went to the dean and I said, I'm from Los Angeles and I teach statistics. I have a PhD in it. How do I fit Native American culture here? And to her undying credit, she did not say, what are you doing here? She said, well, let's sit and see what you teach. And I went through, for example, T-test, and you look at if there's a significant difference between two groups. And she said, frankly, and this was great advice, I don't like to see like Native American and white, like white is the standard. She said, what are some examples of groups? And well, really, one really famous example is, the Pima Indians, the border cuts right through their traditional lands. And there's a lot of research been published on like the difference in rate of diabetes. And she's like, okay, well, here's an example. And she sat down with me and helped me restructure my curriculum like that. So I think that's one of the things that, you know, we have Marty here now. We have people who are available as resources. And your students are one resource. I want to talk about that a little bit. But on the other hand, being like, you know, I have been experienced with that thing where, you know, you have the kid translating for the parents. And so unless we're paying our students, I think it's good to ask them. You always want to ask your students about their own opinion, experience, and make you a better teacher that you can relate to them. But we also have resources like Marty. We have other faculty that you could call on. You can ask your colleagues. You know, Faith, I know that ditched out Faith. I asked her if it's okay to say this. You know, is a great resource. So that is one thing I would suggest is ask your colleagues. And then that's kind of the next thing coming up, because we do have taught here for a while to ask the various faculty, what are things that you have done that have been successful? Or what are things that you've done that completely crashed and burned and you're never going to do that again? Yeah. And yeah, I agree with you, Veronica, too, that I think faculty orientation needs to be an ongoing thing. And I also 100,000% agree. It can't be, I know all about you people. I've heard about you on the internet, you know? So I think we do need to have an ongoing process. We have events here at CINC that all faculty are invited to. I was going to talk about those a little, but yes, it's not, I mean, last semester we didn't have this. So it's a process of development for faculty. Since you're going to be present faculty senate, what's that great myth? We got to get somebody else to step in the vote.
I'm terrible in terminology, methodology.
Sean, you need to say is medieval history.
And it's great to use our students as resources, but it'd be great to have that. They can be part of the orientation process because our students are not as honest with us because they don't want to hurt our feelings or believe they might get killed if they tell us how we really are. So, yeah, yeah.
Well, and like I said, and this is coming up, we are developing a speakers bureau. So any of you all that have suggestions, I will post the link to all the stuff afterwards and follow up and remind you. But we already had a couple of people. One was the director of Indian education for the state of South Dakota, who was from Standard Rock, said she would be willing to be a speaker. Another one is from the Turtle Mountain Band, Jimway, that said she would have to be a speaker. Both of them. Well, actually, they said if we paid for them to come to Palm Springs, it's really cold in North and South Dakota. But we would like to get additional folks that are willing to come in. There's another person I'm trying to strong arm who was the director of the Drug and Alcohol Prevention Program on the Free Village Tribes. But again, more people from around here too that we can work in. I have emailed some folks that said I'd be happy to. So I'm going to keep tracking them down until I get those profiles from them. So faculty can actually access that list. And if there's someone you would like to come speak, so for example, Linda, if you have somebody who has been 30 years on a reservation running a drug and alcohol program, you might want to get a guest speaker. But he also mentioned he would get on the code and come with one. But now that's, we're talking about the advantage of Zoom. You can get folks like that, but we're looking for people. There is some funding, not an enormous amount, but at least if somebody drops in on Zoom or if they come in locally that we can pay them. That's one way to do it. I'm a big person, so we know what we should pay people for the.
I want to suggest Loretta Miranda. She's the Chief Deputy Tribal Advisor and Special Counsel for Governor's Office by Gavin Newsom. She grew up in Banning, went to Banning High School, but now she's working with Native American Affairs. So I think it'd be cool to bring her in. And,
that sounds great.
Yeah, have her talk to the students. Yeah.
I like what you're saying because with the student that just was speaking.
What was that?
Okay, so I want to chime in on that because we may all be indigenous, but every tribe is different from region to region, and it's important that we remember that.
Yeah, on that point, I just actually had experience in, I don't know, the front office room over there. There was a student in there from COD working, and she was talking to me, and she was just like, "Oh, like you guys are so blessed," and like speaking of my tribe, and somebody else was commented back like, "There's other tribes that aren't as blessed," and I was like, "We're all blessed," like, so there is still a lot of assumptions of who we are and how we are, and not everything is just history and ties like that. Like we're still people moving forward, and to say that one tribe is more blessed than the other because of what they see on the outside is just still something that we're facing. Like that just happened a couple months ago. So
that's so true, Lorna, because but there is one thing we do have in common for those of us who are Kauai. The songs may change from tribe to tribe, but the basis of the creation story, even that may change a little bit from tribe to tribe, but it's we all believe in Amna'a and the culture, the bird dance, the bird song, that part. Hey.
I have one question for you all. So I was at Warm Springs this summer and working with some students there and the language teachers for their tribes. And one of the language teachers said, he said, when I was in school, what I learned about Native Americans was like, traditionally, we were all out in the woods and now we're things up. And he said, what I want is our people were very instrumental in preserving salmon, because you've ever been to Oregon, salmon's big. And the things, the fisheries, and a lot of things that we do preserve came from our tribe. And I want those positive things taught to my son. So he said he felt like there was a lot to learn about the traditional culture in a positive way. But as far as we're still here and we are doing these cool things. I mean, Leanne, you were talking about how much vegetables are grown by your tribe, right? I mean, obviously, there's some amount of agricultural knowledge there. I know MHA, the Three Sisters, that's something that has been a huge thing. The whole salmon culture has been a huge thing. I teach agricultural science, and we don't hear any of that. So my question is, how much do you think about contemporary contributions should be in the curriculum? Do you see in the curriculum? I think it should be.
I think it definitely knows. I think that's what I was trying to say, like that, bring it back to where we are now. Because yeah, we're doing a lot of work, and it's not just individual tribes. I served on a board, Indian Health Board up north, and they had a consortium of 9 tribes, and they had a great big site. They had a garden that was growing traditional foods, like they provided for their people. But yeah, like not just, we weren't then, we're now too. So that's I think it's instrumental, because a lot of people, I don't think, either recognize that still.
Good point.
But we only have like half an hour left, so I'm gonna zip through all the other information for faculty, unless there's something if you have a burning desire to say so.
I don't think so.
Can I just say real quick, I know I haven't had all of you as my students, but I do have a book that's part of the English class that you guys might want to look at. It's all about every single California Native tribe. It's called The Way We Lived. So it's the stories, and then the introductions to each of the stories provides like where the tribe once was, and kind of tries to bring you up to date. So it's an excellent book. It's part of my English 1A class. It's a supplemental to everything that we read, but if you're looking for something like that, that's something that you could pick up. And I know CINC has several copies, so do take one.
That you promote your class there, girl? That's okay. So listen to that.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's the time for the rest of you to introduce yourselves, like Steve over there. Yeah, this is the part where we're asking the faculty that are here in person and online. I know, yeah. Linda talked about what she taught a little bit. Veronica decked out, she talked about her, get this out here. There you go. So if you could put it in Zoom, maybe if you put in the chat, if you've taught on Zoom, if you've used Populi, and if you teach online. So like for me, I know Veronica just ditched out. I can say, I don't know if she used Populi. I know she's taught online. And you haven't taught, this is your first semester teaching, right, Linda?
College.
College.
I've done classes via Zoom for independent study in high school. I am not familiar with Populi, but I've used Zoom and Google Classroom. So that's.
Let's see if I can see this. Oh, that's just her putting her book in there, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. And you, Steve, you taught in person this semester, right?
I haven't used Populi, but I've done Zoom and I've done online. I think the thing that I find universal, whether it's Native Americans or whoever, is most of the kids that I get are not prepared for college. And we have to spend a fair amount of time finding solutions to that. I haven't really taught any classes up here, but I'm talking about Mecca. I'm talking about India. I'm talking about Palm Desert. It takes time, and people are coming to the class with different needs and different perspective on what it is to come to a college class. And I think that it would be really, really important for us to have this is what a college class is. conversation with our students. Because about a third of the way through, I noticed that half of them weren't doing their assignments. Like they don't know they have to. So I think that's just, I don't know, if that's a cultural problem. I think it's a larger problem. I don't think it's a Native American problem. I think it's a educational problem that we're looking at with a large percentage of our students. I also think that we ought to talk about gender too. I noticed that probably I've taught for COD for about 15 years.
Can you all hear him? Just making sure. Yes, no?
The camera is pointed at a wall, so if you want to give us a view of him, that'd be nice.
No.
There you go. How's that?
I just know that probably 75% of my students are female. And the support system for the male students is less pronounced than it is with female students.
Interesting.
And it's an issue that we need to talk about, I think.
But that's true of them in general throughout life. Yeah, probably when they don't feel like they can have support.
It's true. I know at CINC we have, I know Daniel's our institutional researcher, and he could say we have predominantly female students.
Yeah, overwhelming. It's about a 2.5 to 3 to 1 ratio, female to male.
And that's true at tribal colleges nationwide. I think we're a little bit more extreme than most, but yeah, the typical tribal college student is a woman in her late 30s who has children and is a single parent. That's the most common prototype of tribal college student. So this is the part where we ask people if they have suggestions, things that they have done that have worked super well, or that they're willing to tell their colleagues about. So I know all of you, some of your students have said very nice things about you. So if nobody else volunteers, we'll get Veronica or Carol to tell us, because Carol, I have heard good things about you. I may eavesdrop, but yeah, Carol, tell us some advice.
I guess I don't know. I just I feel, hold on, let me rub my brain real quick. I do a lot of conversations with the students. You know, I want to hear what they have to say. So, you know, I guess that's some of that. I'm just very grateful that the students respond so well. The assignments are very much geared toward their learning. Of course, that's what we all do, but it's designed to like work with, how do I say this? Like, so if I assign an essay, because I'm teaching English and ethnic studies, in the ethnic studies class, it's different than the English class. So I take two different pedagogical approaches. And for English, it's very structured, it's very boring, it's very dry, but in order to keep it from being boring and dry, so if you're teaching like composition, math, or anything that's just got a lot of like repetitiveness to it, what I do is try to take that repetition and like turn it on its head. And so instead of just constantly saying, this is a thesis statement, this is an introduction, this is how you do it, over and over and over again, I say, well, how are different ways we can do that? How can we approach that? And then get the students' input. For SOCH, it's a lot of conversations and asking them their experiences, what they want to talk about, and then covering it. But that's kind of it generally in a nutshell.
Does anyone else want to dive in? Because if you don't, I will call on you because I'm a professor. Hey, Phil, are you there? Phil Parker, we've heard good things about you. So do you want to give your advice?
Yeah. I'm not so sure it's advice, but along with what Carol was saying, a lot of the stuff, you know, there's facts and figures you got to put out there, and you got to put it out there in a way. And we're at the college level now, so if we were in third grade, it might be different. But I think that if we keep it at kind of, you know, more of a gamify thing where you like say you try to get it where their input. There's certain facts you got to put out there, and then you say, okay, what do you think about that? You've got a certain amount of experience, like you said. The people that are in our classes are in their late 30s. They've got children. They're, you know, the things that are most important to them are their children. And so when you come up with that kind of experience, they got background, they got life experience, they've got cultural experience, they've been taught different things. Bring that into the conversation. And now you can put your facts, and then they can go, yeah, that I don't know how that fits with mine. Maybe it goes like this, you know? And so you get that critical thinking going. And that, I think, is the most important part of our education in the secondary education, is that you start thinking, okay, here's facts and figures. Here's my cultural experience. Here's my background. Here's what I experienced. How does all that meld, and what can I go forward? How can I make things better going forward? And that's, to me, that's the exciting part. And then again, just make it as fun as possible. That keeps it, you know, especially if you're teaching like this, you're on the Zoom like this. I've taught on Zoom. I was not real familiar with Populi, whatever it is, till last semester, but it was pretty easy to pick up. And this semester, getting the class ready is pretty easy as well. I was really surprised. I knew I was doing something wrong. So, but, and then, like you say, working with Zoom, doing online teaching, making it as interesting and exciting and fun as possible is the real key. Otherwise, it goes blank, and you just see their name, and then you don't know if they're eating or playing with the kids or doing something else. You just don't know. So one of the fun things, and see what you started, now you got me going, right? One of the things that I learned is going on, I try to learn it's something new all the time, but one of the best things I learned is that flip the classroom program. And you guys are all aware of it. I see shaking heads. So yeah, the more that you can get them talking, throw out a couple facts, say, what do you think about that? Get them talking, flip that class, the more engaging it becomes and the better it is. And they, all of a sudden the time is passed, and then you're like, oh, wow, we got our exit pass. We got to take care of that. And now we can go back and do whatever you have to do. But it's not, as soon as I find myself, as soon as I start going fact to fact to fact to fact, and I'm lecturing, I watch them just fade. They're just gone.
Daniel, I know you are an amazing, both Daniels, but Daniel Collister, let's start with you. I know you're an amazing teacher. Do you have some suggestions for us?
Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel. I'm the academic institutional researcher here, and I also teach college algebra. This last semester I taught, and there were 7 students. Out of the 7 students, I had a high school student. I had a student that was fresh out of high school with a calculus background. I had a couple of adults that did not have algebra in their history. And then I had a couple that were doing class because they wanted to conquer a mountain. And so the things that I would say that are practical bits of advice, first and foremost, if you've been online tonight, you see just how hard it is running a hybrid class. And so technology issues they're everywhere. You got to be really aware of what your tech issues are going into the classroom. I'd strongly recommend, if you are planning on trying a high flex or a hybrid class, get used to the technology ahead of time. College of the Desert has pretty good professionals on campus that you can use to get situated. I had issues with the microphone system when I went from being purely virtual to becoming hybrid in response to my students' requests. College math is a bear, I think, and math itself is a subject that can have a lot of trauma in it. So as a class, we agreed day one that we are a community, and that I may be a material expert in mathematics, but that's the extent of my expertise. And so we really did work as a team to sort of figure out strategies that worked. I've taught this class now twice in the college, and I've written 6 different syllabi for the class to make sure that it works for my students. So I think high flexibility really is part of the game, and really understanding that when you step into this classroom, it's not a job, alone, but it really is a commitment to entering into a community, and you're becoming a part of a vibrant community that's alive and active. And as we're talking about the students themselves, the modality of the students, the age ranges are higher, the experiences are different. We have a lot of varied experiences. And I mean that in the broadest sense of the word, where I went out into the parking lot and some of my students had cars that are way better than my cars, way better. And then I have other students that are working 3 jobs and are trying to just pay enough for electricity to stay on. So imagine having students that can't get online because they can't pay the bill for their electricity. I think those are useful things to keep in mind when I start amping up as an instructor, being like, where are these assignments that I've been working on for so long with these students? That's important to keep in mind. I uploaded the 22-23 catalog to the general folder that we have shared for teachers so that you can take a look at the mission statements that we have. We have our mission, our vision, our purpose, our values. And I got to tell you, I love how it's framed, where we're offering a culturally responsive academic curriculum rooted in Native American values. And our vision is to empower our students, right? We're really coming to the table because every single instructor that we have at CINC has academic achievement in our pockets. I think of intersectionality as being a buzzword that talks about how our unique experiences sit inside of our cultural history and heritage. And whatever your background is, you have personally overcome challenges to accomplish what you have in your life. And so when I'm in a classroom teaching math, I feel it's kind of my duty to bring to the table, how did I go about figuring out how to do all the studenting things? I think we've heard it a couple of times tonight about how there's a lot of room to have conversation about effective strategies for studying, and also some things that just don't seem to translate very well. So making it relevant, making it vibrant and fun is really important. And also really giving room for adults to be adults in your classroom. Like, we are adults together in this room. And I really think that's important to keep in mind, and not taking it to another level where there's a power dynamic to unravel. I think getting out of a power structure where you feel like the instructor and so you got to lay down the law. I've seen that a lot, and I really think that that's just about as far wrong as it can get. So I think those are the main things that I would highlight. And maybe just to sort of wrap it up, in my college algebra class, both times, in this approach of just saying, it does not matter what I thought was going to happen in the classroom, it matters that we work together collectively to find success. I have seen students go from not knowing how to add positive and negative numbers to being able to competently talk about complex numbers, systems, and these abstract mathematical concepts in the course of just a few months. So the amount of growth and achievement that I've seen in my own classroom with my students, it would bring me to tears. And it's not me doing it, but it's rather just getting out of the way almost, and just really empowering our students to be all that they are, like just that.
Well, hopefully we're going to be doing more of these sessions with faculty together. And I want to have a few more people speak. The one thing I was going to say is most of my career, I've taught engineering, epidemiology, biostatistics, advanced quantitative statistics. I am not the warm fuzzy type, right? So here's a couple of things where I have barely escaped screwing up. And one is I have learned, and this is probably more Linda's area than mine, but to always ask first before, if somebody is missing assignments, if they're behind, instead of starting and you're missing these 8 assignments, but always ask first, because there have been times when I've said, so you're behind in these assignments, there's something going on. The person bursts into tears and tells me their mom's dying of cancer. And I just think, I am so glad I didn't lead with you're missing 8 assignments. So that's my advice, always ask first. And I'm just going to tell you a quick story because it saved me looking like an idiot. When I was very first teaching college, everybody had to teach College 101. Most of you have probably taught it. And I normally taught statistics, but they had to write a paper because we wanted to get a sample of their writing skills so we could intervene early if necessary. And I had the student in the class, never spoke up, I was in North Dakota, so rodeo cowboy, cowboy hat, cowboy boots, chewing tobacco, whole 9 yards. And he turns in a paper on the, like, I forget exactly, metaphor and allegory in the works of John Steinbeck. And I think there's no way this kid wrote this paper, right? So I go to, this will tell you something, the only woman tenured faculty, this is how old I am, and asked her, what do you suggest I do? And she had the greatest advice. She said, invite him to your office and tell him you were interested in his paper and ask him to tell you about it. And if he did write it, he will be flattered. And if he didn't write it, he'll be busted. And I called this kid in and he just started off, ma'am, I was on the rodeo circuit and I had to do a book report in high school. And my partner, this book, The Red Pony, it was about pony and we like horses. So we thought I would like it. And then he says, and man, that book was about so much more than a horse and just lets loose on everything about probably one of y'all like Carol that teaches English would know about this, but the kid wrote it. It was amazing. And I just felt, oh my God, I could have called in and accused him of plagiarism, looked like the biggest idiot. And he would have left thinking, I hate you, I hate this school. And instead he was like, my professor called me to tell me about her paper and she was impressed. And I was. So I didn't look like an idiot, but I barely dodged that bullet. That is my advice, is always ask instead of accusing. And I've just caught myself a couple of times where later I went, whew. So that's my advice.
Can I add on one more thing just while I have it in my head? I really was grateful for how I just stumbled into framing the class as a community space where we were making community agreements. And in that, I've been fortunate to have tribal elders as students every single class that I've taught. And there really is a lot of wisdom in the room. And there really is a lot of strength in recognizing that our students are more than just our students. They bring a lot to the table and a lot of wisdom that I did not have. And it really got us through some tough times. Like we had deaths happen in the classroom both times. We had an arrest, we had a DUI. So we had all those things. And it's just those first couple of minutes of framing it as we are here together in common shared purpose across tribal boundaries. Right? That's another one that came up in our class that I would never have known about if our students hadn't just been talking about that as a dynamic they realize already. So just those kind of things were really awesome.
Well, Daniel, the other Daniel, I know you're new to CINC, but you're not new to teaching, yes?
Yeah, I've taught at UCR before.
And do you have some suggestions that you'd be willing to share?
I think Carol summed it up. It's just being there, I think, for the students, and just letting them know that you actually care about them. And, that was one of the things that I got feedback from my students was like, they told me that, they felt like I actually cared about them and their future. And I think that's probably one of the most important things when it comes to teaching is that you're kind of relatable. You're not just like that, the head of the class or something, right? You're like the other Daniel was saying, like you're creating a community. I think that's important. I know I don't have anything new to add to that, but
I have one thing to add from a purely pragmatic perspective. A lot of times I teach stuff like statistics where they have to write a research paper. I know Leanne was in my class where they do a financial plan and a pitch, and a lot of students have never done that before, and maybe you've done it 100 times. So I think, and you could tell me I'm a big liar if you want, Leanne, because you already got your A in class. So, but I think having examples of this is how you do it can be helpful. Like if you're not getting assignments from students, sometimes because they don't know what you want. And as somebody who's taught, for 40 years, yes, ma'am.
Like there was things that like I was missing, like there must have been a lot of kids missing that same assignment. Came in and you were like, we're gonna learn about this today because no one's turning in. And so we did it. It all made sense. And you even made like was like another slide, and it was like way more detailed in a PowerPoint is what it was. It was way more detailed, and then after that we got it. We got the assignment, I understood it, turned it in.
And sometimes we assume people know stuff that they don't, because whether it's how to put up a chart in PowerPoint or how to use, a formula from one Excel sheet to another, no one came out of the womb knowing this, right? And we all learned it at some point. And like Steve was saying, you assume people come to college at a certain level, but depending on where you went to high school, You know, I have a really good friend whose sons are the exact same age, his 3 boys, and my 3 daughters the exact same age. And my kids went to St. Monica's Catholic College Preparatory School in Santa Monica. And his boys went to 4 Winds on the Spirit Lake Nation. And they had dramatically different high school educations. And his boys were just as smart as my, well, they're my girls, so I think they're a little smarter. But, you know, his kids were really smart, but they didn't have calculus because their school didn't offer it. So there are a lot of things depending on where you went. Okay.
Feel like they don't belong there too.
Right.
You know, they're like, oh, they're teaching us, and we should probably know this. And
Yeah.
And that's a really good point because I can't recall if it was in my political science 2 or 3. No, political science 2. We had an assignment where he opened up the module on Monday, and Friday we had a research paper due, and it was 8 pages. It was 10 pages total, but it was the cover letter, the references, so it was a total of your research and everything, 8 pages. That was 5 days to look up, do your research, find, your citations and everything. And I remember that I was like rushing through that paper. Like these 4 or 5 days was like not enough to be able to put together this, 10-page research paper. So I still submitted what I was able to put together. And his feedback was, this was not at 6:70. His feedback was like, you should have already known this already. You should have not had taken so much time to take your research. Because I did express like, this is the best that I could do. And just these 4 days of trying to put it together, plus typing it all up and submitting. And I just felt like I am so civically engaged and just really well in the community, learning about politics, that I just felt like, do I need to take a step back? Because of the feedback that I received. The reality is that, having, two jobs, being a full-time student, and, having to, take care of my family and everything, I just felt like, how am I going to put this paper together? That was a lot of research and staying up really late and trying to put them together. And I just felt like, do I take a step back, or do I just, okay, that's his feedback, on to the next, topic. But I took that as like, okay, how can I, how can my next paper be better? And so, but not all students could see it that way. They could just see it as like, you know what, maybe this class is for me. Maybe I should bring this for my, my major. So definitely, feedback. Not all students are the same. Not everyone's schedule is the same. And also, that those deadlines, I felt like his deadline was just not realistic for such a large paper.
Well, we have 4 minutes left and a bunch of stuff, but that's okay because those meetings that could have been an email. So there's a lot of this stuff. I'm just going to tell you what's left here because it is in the faculty team. So the wonderful Gwen Earl couldn't be here, so she sent me a PowerPoint of her different things that had worked for her. Teaching here, one of the things she said was include knowledge about tribal programs. Like she teaches human resources, so she went to the employment opportunity site and include something there. So you could see her. So I'll be posted in the so I'll be posted in the faculty teams channel. Can ever get my mouse to go back over there? There we are. So there's a bunch of PowerPoints from Glenn. One thing she says, invite guest speakers. So that is an option for you. Ryan Mariano greatly requests that you let them know at least 3 weeks in advance so they can get approved in the honorarium process. It is me. There's a lot of stuff on here starting the semester. The main thing is you should have gotten an invitation to the faculty teams channel. If you did not, let me know. You'll see there's under faculty, You click faculty resources over on the left and you'll see files, and there's whole bunches of files. Stuff like how to authenticate properly. I'll be adding stuff there all the time. There's a faculty handbook, so go there. All the stuff will be there. Like I said, click on faculty resources tab and select files. You'll find stuff like there's a CINC syllabus template. You're welcome to use that. As Roger said, you don't have to, but there's all kinds of boilerplate. You can just copy and paste it there. If you don't have access, I know some people told me they didn't yet get their COD email or access. Let me know. I will download the course outline of record for you and send it to you. Anything you need. Student learning outcomes. All of our courses have student learning outcomes. All of you should have gotten an email from me. This is what I have for your course. Because we're partnered with COD, we have to use their student learning outcomes, but we can have others. Every course has one or more related to Native Americans, and all SLOs have an assessment. So you got that from me. If you don't remember it, or if you're brand new and you didn't get it, let me know. If you hate it, let me know, because that's what we're turning in with our accreditation. So because we are focused on a culturally responsive curriculum, guest speakers are available. We also have regular events. Just know you're invited. Don't ever feel like, well, I'm adjunct faculty. No, there's like the Women of the White Buffalo screening. Anything CINC does, you are welcome to come, and it's free for you. Like we did a grant writing workshop, anything like that, you are invited. If you did not get something from Populi, sent at populi.co regarding your Populi login. Some people told me they did. Let me know. If you did not hear from College of the Desert HR, I know 3 of you let me know. I emailed them twice already because I am pushy like that. Let me know if you don't hear from me. I'll call you every couple of weeks or email and say, did you hear from them yet? And I will email them all again. A lot of this, we are not going to do in meeting. It could have been an email. It will be an email. You know, Roger mentioned taking attendance. If you don't use Pipe, just so you know, sometimes people think we use Canvas. We do not use Canvas. You don't have to use Populi for a learning management system. I find it super helpful to upload the syllabus and all the assignments for students. So I will send you all the stuff on Populi. I'm logging in. You know that we are in partnership with College of the Desert. The bad thing about that is we have to go with all of their policies and procedures as well as ours. The good thing about that is there are some resources, payment. COD pays you for an office hour. You need to do at least 1 office hour. It can't be by appointment. You can do it after class, you can do it before class. Personally, I did office hours before class and the next morning. No one came to my morning office hours, but very often people did to the one before class. So I did not personally find morning office hours to work. You can hold me in because the school's open till 10. You can hold me after. Before probably is easier for a lot of students. Tell us if you don't get paid, because we don't hear from College Days. If you don't get paid, let me know. Anything, CINC orientation, please, if you have not, Veronica and Steve and anybody who's online, I will send you a W-9. If you haven't filled out a W-9 for CINC, not COD, fill it out so we can pay you. You get paid for attending CINC orientations, if you're creating new materials that we ask you to do, not just for like teaching. If you do other non-instructional things, faculty senate, we will pay you for that. So just that's paid from CINC, not COD. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. I will send you all an email with all the links because I thought it was more important for you all to hear from each other and the students than for me to tell you a bunch of policy things that you could read. So that's it. Anything last minute thoughts? Anything? Well, then that's it. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. Takahito, I know we didn't hear from you, so I expect you to email something on your brilliant ideas. I know you have many. And yeah, I will download this recording and send you a link to it.
Thank you to the students.
Yes.
That was really valuable.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for putting this together. Have a good night.
Thank you for
so
coming.
much. It was so helpful. Thank you.
I will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.